As I explained in the last chapter, I told my boyfriend I no longer wanted to have sex with him. He did not respect this decision and kept assaulting me, all throughout the week we were away from home. Legally speaking, he did not rape me, since he didn't penetrate me. However, he would undress me against my will and rub his penis against my naked body until he reached an orgasm. He did this to me throughout the entire week we were away from home. Each time, he would pin me down and force his penis onto my naked body, but not inside of my vagina, until he ejaculated. I struggled violently every time, but I was simply not strong enough to throw him off of me. Later on, he would put me in a headlock instead of holding me down with his hands, because he figured that it would be easier to constrain me in that way. Each time felt like I was being raped. Legally, of course, this type of sexual assault does not constitute rape, since it did not involve penetration. But was it really on a par with sexual assault in the form of being groped or fondled against my will? A lot of people would argue that holding someone down and rubbing your own naked body onto theirs for 10 minutes or so, until the point of reaching an orgasm, is actually a form of rape. Sometimes, I still wonder why he chose to put me in a headlock and rub his penis against me until the point of ejaculation, instead of forcing it inside of me. Did he, correctly, assume that I would be so confused about him choosing not to penetrate me and instead rubbing himself to an orgasm, to report the abuse to the police? Did he realize that, if he had penetrated me by force, it would be considered rape, legally, and that I'd be able to go to the local police and show them my bleeding vagina, in order for them to gather evidence and prosecute him? Did he not want to cause me the physical pain of forced penetration? Since he knew I found penetration to be excruciatingly painful, and that I had been bleeding profusely each time, even during consensual intercourse, did he somehow respect my decision to not want to get pregnant? Did he not want to consider himself to be a rapist? A friend of mine, Eric, suggested the fifth possibility. However, Eric told me that what I had been through was definitely some form of rape, albeit without penetration. I'm aware that the legal definition of rape does not include sexual assault without penetration. However, if you had a daughter who told you some guy had rubbed his penis against her naked body in her vagina, up until the point he orgasmed, would you not feel like it would be on a par with him forcing it inside of her? I once read an article describing the legal case of a boy who had been sexually abused by his own mother. For years, the woman had regularly forced her own son to perform cunnilingus on her, until she orgasmed. Dutch law differentiates between
aanrandingen,
referring to acts of sexual assault that do not involve penetration, and
verkrachtingen,
referring to acts of sexual assault that do involve penetration. Therefore, according to Dutch law, the mother would only have been guilty of the former, which makes it sound as if she was guilty of groping or fondling her son, instead of thrusting her vulva onto his face and forcing him to make her orgasm with his tongue. However, would anyone claim that the boy was not raped, just because the sexual abuse did not involve penetration? I think not.